Nocturne and Toten was a huge success. A small little Easter egg that followed the World at War campaign had set off a spark for a whole new game mode that had unlimited potential. It was the job of the next map to progress the success that Noct had and forbid the German bunker of being a one-hit wonder. So, the developers got to work, and while also developing multiplayer maps for the first World at War DLC pack, they began working on another Zombies map. A map more than double the size of Nocturne and Toten. A map that was creepier in most every way. A map that provided far more features and gameplay opportunities. And on March 19th, 2009, Zombies Verrückt was released. Welcome to What Now Sanatorium. The main strength of Nocturne and Toten, as emphasized last video, was its atmosphere. To this day, it is still notably one of the creepiest maps to date. That being said, it should say a lot that Verrückt took those vibes from Noct and completely amplified them to create arguably the creepiest zombies map of all time. As far as the atmosphere, Verrückt did everything Noct did, but better. Outside the spawn rooms are creepy, burning forests. All around the map are depleted walls and eerie fixtures that establish Verrückt as an abandoned building. The creepiest room of all is certainly the kitchen, which, while being all corroded, has various messages sprawled on the walls and ambiguous blood throughout. A heavy note of emphasis, also, is that Verrückt translates to the English word crazy, which is pretty much where this map takes place, an abandoned German insane asylum known as Wittenau Sanatorium. The name and building layout are not the only indicators of the travesties that have occurred at this location. Verrückt is well known for having some of the most creepy sound effects in all of Zombies. Certain locations consist of noises of babies crying, people screaming, or chaos ensuing. I'll just let a few of these play out real quick. So yeah, the atmosphere is pretty ramped up from an already well-established desolate vibe that Nocturne and Toten provided. As for the map layout, if you have keen ears, you may have already picked up on something interesting that I said. Spawn rooms. Plural. On this map, there are two possible spawn locations, with a large metal door separating them. There is a 50% chance of spawning on either side of this door, and both rooms have their own unique features. The two rooms have different paths that lead to the same location, up a set of stairs and eventually to what is known as the power room. The power room has a switch that can be pulled that will open the aforementioned metal door and fully connect the map, creating a large circular layout. Let's discuss this first possible spawn location and path. This side has the Kar 98K available for 200 points on the wall, but if you've played Noct, you know to avoid this thing. It also has a Gewehr 43 for 600 points, which is this gun's first appearance on the wall, subbed in for the M1 carbine, which is on Noct in the spawn room for the same price. Zombies can break in from 4 areas in this room. To exit the room, one is forced to buy the stairs and advance up to the second floor. Up the stairs is a long hallway and a long balcony that overlooks the courtyard. At the end of the hallway is another door that leads to another couple rooms, and just beyond this room is the power room. 3 doors, right? Well, let's discuss the other spawn. This substantially smaller space consists of 3 areas for the zombies to enter. The M1 carbine for 600 points is on the wall, and the dreaded Springfield for 200. If you think the Kar 98K was bad, let me introduce you to inarguably the worst weapon in the history of zombies. A weapon so bad, I have a video on my YouTube channel trying to get to round 5 with this thing. This gun does absolutely no damage. It's a 2-shot body shot on round 1, and I swear to God the iron sights are off. That's not just me making excuses or exaggerating or being no. No, the iron sights are literally off. It's like a well-known thing. You have to aim a little above the zombie's right shoulder if you want a headshot, not at its head. There are even rumors that this thing is a 2-shot on insta-kill. Jesus. Anyways, this is the only time you'll see the Springfield on the wall in the entire series. I'd tell you to savor it, but this gun does not deserve savoring. Bye-bye, Springfield. Moving on, there are 2 purchasable doors beyond this side of the Verrückt spawn room. One of these doors advances the player closer to the power room and has eerie water leaking from the ceiling, which if run under provides a cool filter on the player's screen. This room also contains the well-established Thompson and the double-barrel shotgun on the wall, while the other door leads to... You know what, we're just going to come back here later. Debris can be purchased in the other room to move up the stairs, which leads to another door, which opens up a short hallway with another door at the end, which leads to the kitchen, which leads to another door, which finally, is the power room door. So yeah, 5 doors on this side of the map to get to the power room versus 3 on the other side. I know which one I prefer. Perhaps the most iconic part of this map is actually not even accessible to the player, being the fountain in the center of the courtyard. Part of this fountain's iconicism likely has to do with it being on the map's thumbnail, if you will, but it also can be seen from most of the rooms, and lots of the zombies that end up breaking into the map come from near this fountain. The layout for Verrückt is rather simple when you don't compare it to the 3-room structure of Nocturne and Toten. Since the map's, at the end of the day, a circle, if you get lost trying to find something and you keep running in one direction, you'll eventually get there. Now, let's talk about some stable features that Verrückt introduced to the series. And boy, there are some significant ones. The first new feature we'll discuss is the power switch. Upon reaching the power room, this switch can be pulled to turn on the power in the asylum and grants the player access to more features that require electricity. The introduction of the power switch is far more important than it seems on the surface. On Noct, no real objectives were given to the player. I mean, sure, you can count the desire to hit the mystery box ASAP an objective, but this requires 1 door purchase and truly can't be classified as a quest. Every game playing Verrückt, the player will likely spend the first 5 or so rounds accumulating points on a quest to advance to the power switch and turn on the power. Having objectives is such a massive part of zombies moving forward, and this is our first taste of that. Not to mention the fact that on most other maps from here on out, the first objective of the game will be to turn on the power. After turning on the power, the player now has access to far more of Verrückt's features, including Perk-a-Colas, also known as perks. Perks are soda-styled beverages that give the player various upgrades dependent on which perk they drink. This map features 4 perks, known as the 4 OG perks. Undoubtedly, the most useful perk of all time makes its debut on this map, called Juggernog, or Jug for short. After spending 2,500 points at this machine, 2 swipes will no longer down the player. It will typically take around 4 or 5 hits now to down the player, or specifically on this very glitchy map, occasionally a million. This eliminates the annoyance of being double swiped and reset, a notable downside to Noct that we discussed last video. Another perk this map introduces is Double Tap. Purchasable for 2,000 points, Double Tap will double the speed you shoot your weapon. Now, while having its clear advantages, it's also a very controversial perk, as this can make your SMGs and ARs run out of ammo far quicker than you would without the perk. However, pairing Double Tap with certain weapons like a shotgun or a ray gun truly makes a big difference. Moving to our third perk, Speed Cola is purchasable for 3,000 points just outside the kitchen. This drink allows the players to reload in half the time it usually would take them without the perk. This is obviously extremely useful with specifically LMGs or any weapon that has a problematic reload speed. I've never fully understood, however, why this thing costs more than Juggernog. Juggernog is clearly a superior perk, but I guess we're just not going to let them know that though, huh? Last and, for now, least of the 4 perks is Quick Revive. Purchasable for 1,500 points, this perk allows you to revive your teammate far faster, which is very nice if you have a teammate or friends. This perk, however, is also 1,500 points on solo, and all the player will receive in return is a quote about how much it tastes like fish. This lack thereof feature will eventually get rectified and make Quick Revive a much superior perk, but for now, it stays on the bottom of the totem pole. Each of these perks have their own unique jingle, tastes, and identities. Perks will remain a huge staple in COD Zombies throughout future games and are essential to players getting new high rounds and progressing throughout Zombies maps. Another feature that becomes accessible with the flip of the power switch are electric traps. There are 2 purchasable for 1,000 points on 2 balconies of Verrückt and instantly kill any zombie that walks through it. The player, meanwhile, can safely camp out on the balcony, while the trap runs for about 30 seconds, only having to worry about barriers that are beyond the electric trap. The main positive when it comes to traps, obviously, is their ability to kill the zombies instantly despite how high the round number is. But its cooldown time, 1,000 point purchase, and granting the player 0 points per kill are the hindrances that come with the trap. The placement of this particular trap on Verrückt is iconic and very useful, creating strategies for players that are attempting to get to high rounds. Verrückt is also the first map to have a music Easter egg, if you don't count the BO1 and 3 versions of Noct. You can now go to this toilet in this, dare I say, oddly positioned bathroom. Should have more of a hallway, right? And flush it 3 times to play the song Lullaby for a Dead Man by Kevin Sherwood and Alina Siegman. These two masterminds are responsible for a lot of the map songs going forward, as you'll see. In future videos, main and side Easter eggs will have their own section in the series. This goes to show how impactful Verrückt was by adding this small feature. The last new feature on Verrückt we'll be discussing is the latest weapon in the mystery box, which is, wait, a goddamn teddy bear? Just like with Knocked, the mystery box has a preset spawn location, this time being in the power room. Unlike Knocked, however, this mystery box has the ability to move. Noted by the message on the wall, which too often in your wishing well will run, the mystery box will occasionally give the player a teddy bear. This teddy bear will return the player their 950 points and teleport the mystery box to a new location around the map. The mystery box has about 5-6 locations on Verrückt, ranging from the spawn room to the Thompson room and, like I said before, the power room. From here on out, multiple box locations will be on most every zombies map, as well as the dreaded teddy bear that comes along and creates all this drama. Now, it's time to check out some features that are unique to Verrückt. One thing about Verrückt that sets it apart from most other zombies maps is that it has 2 spawn rooms. It is a 50-50 chance of the player spawning in on the quick revive side or the juggernaut side, which is already interesting enough as is, but becomes even more interesting when the party consists of 3 or 4 people. In this situation, 2 players will spawn on one side of the middle door, and the remaining player or players will spawn on the other side of the door. The only way to open this door connecting the spawn rooms, as I said earlier, is by turning on the power. This is strongly hinted at, once again on the wall, with "power will reunite you." Having 2 spawn rooms and splitting players up is so simple, yet truly does provide a much more interesting first few rounds. Separating the players creates even more incentive to complete the objective of getting the map open and the power on. My biggest complaint about this feature is honestly that it wasn't a feature on 2-player. On co-op, both players will always spawn on the same side as each other. I feel like it could have been super interesting to mix this up, to randomize whether the 2 players will be on the same side or if they'll be separated, similar to the randomization of which room you'll spawn in individually. But if my largest complaint about a feature is that it should have been used more, it's probably a good feature. Along with having some of the creepiest tones in zombies history, Verrückt is also known for having some of the fastest zombies in the franchise. Probably just a step behind the transit bus sprinters, to be honest with you. Some of the zombies on this map are absolutely no joke, and they've been come to be known as Verrückt super sprinters. Apparently after Knocked, Treyarch thought the zombies' max speed needed a boost, and boost it did they ever. Some of these things are so freaking fast, no matter how far or fast you're running, they will not be far behind you. Along with being annoying and aggravating, these guys are actually a huge part of the OG World of War Verrückt experience. You are not a real zombies player until you face the Verrückt super sprinters. With every yin there's a yang, however, and this yang comes in the form of the map occasionally having super powered Juggernaut. Jug is meant to boost your health to about double, maybe a little more. Occasionally on Verrückt, however, you'll find yourself still standing after a rally of 6+ hits. This is a glitch in the system, as these perks and their intricacies were still new, and Treyarch hadn't smoothed out the kinks and errors yet. Funny how they never went back and fixed it, though. One feature that was seemingly removed from Verrückt was a turret on the fountain. This is incredibly intriguing, as it also means at one point the developers intended for the player to be able to access the exterior of the building. If you V-clip to the fountain, you can actually use a mounted gun on top of it, and if you V-clip under the fountain, you can physically see the gun. The existence of these inaccessible features has not been addressed by Treyarch, but it seems as though we missed out on a very interesting feature. And last, yet certainly not least significant, we have the bar room. Treyarch's successful attempt of finding a way to make players waste more points than with the sniper cabinet on Knocked. You open this door for 750 points. You enter a room no larger than a closet. It has a decent line of sight, I guess, but hey, there's also a gun on the wall. Whoa, it's a bar. Costs 2,500 points? That's a little excessive. On Knocked, this thing only cost 1,800. Oh, wait. I see. It has a bipod attachment. That must be pretty useful, or at the very least do something, right? No. The bipod, for all intents and purposes, is unusable. There are a couple glitch spots where it's possible to make it work, including on a friend's head on co-op. But no, this bipod is not meant to be used. So a few questions without answers are created here. Why is the gun more expensive? Why did they bother throwing the bipod on? Why is this room here? And why is the gun the main feature of the room when you can literally get it elsewhere on the map? I don't know, man. Ask Von Dahar. Between the super sprinters, creepy sounds, and separate spawn rooms, Verrückt to this day delivers a unique experience to players looking for a classic World at War game. Let's now delve into the strategies that are typically used when playing the scariest zombies map of all time. Verrückt is an extremely difficult map, proven by the fact that there are barely more notable survival strategies here than on Nacht, a map much smaller in stature. I would say most of the best strategies on Verrückt involve utilizing the traps, as they do infinite damage to the zombies and save the players on ammo. The existence of the traps does bring down the significance of the flamethrower on this and future World at War maps, however. While the flamethrower is still very good and capable of getting players to high rounds, its grand significance lies with Nacht, as Nacht is the only map on this game without traps. Camping out here on this balcony is certainly one of the OG strategies, as you can quickly turn on the trap when you anticipate getting overwhelmed. The trap covers both entrances to the balcony, and the only concern the player has for 30 seconds is the window here on their left. It is important to remember, however, the trap does have like a minute to minute and a half cooldown, and the zombies will very suddenly reappear. It's important to remain set up for when this occurs. Training or camping in this speed cola room is also a great strategy, especially when keeping the door over here shut. This somehow also prevents the zombies from coming in the only window behind you, so you need to only focus on the zombies coming from the kitchen. Of course, you will need to make sure that you spawn on the correct side of the map, however, to make this strategy work, as spawning on the wrong side of the map requires you to open the door that must stay shut. The train that can be performed in this room, however, is also very, very tight. Players should try to pick off a few zombies before falling back to the train. Verrückt is also the first map where a full map train is viable. This involves starting in one area of the map and running all around it, grouping the zombies behind you before turning and eliminating them. My favorite place to start the train is here at the top of these stairs, as running up or downstairs on this map is a calculated risk. From here, I run around the entire upstairs portion of the map, get to the end of this hallway, and spray. Another viable option, and far more useful on high rounds for sure, is to bring the train to the trap. It's important to remember, however, the trap costs 1,000 points, so make sure to keep up with that money. Believe it or not, the world record for Verrückt is actually very recent, unless you're watching this years from now, being set on January 17th, 2026 by a player named Dab Easter. I think I'm so freaking sorry if I'm pronouncing it. He utilizes the traps to the best of his ability and spams the flamethrower when needed, especially when the zombies are coming out of that one window on the other side of the electric trap. Verrückt is certainly one of the hardest zombie maps of all time, so utilizing these strategies can certainly take a while to get a hold of. However, they are indeed your best friend if you hope to make it out of Wittenau Sanatorium alive. Or at least on a higher round. Verrückt is a very unique map, as it stands alone to me, without a doubt, as the creepiest map in zombies history. Obviously, this does it many favors as far as atmosphere goes. It's always fun to reload into Verrückt and reinsert yourself into the horror landscape Treyarch conjured with this experience. The innovations of power and perks were also instrumental for zombies moving forward. If you recall, a large critique I had of Nacht was a 2-hit reset system. Sargonaga alone takes care of this issue and gives Verrückt a large amount of points for me. Verrückt, however, loses points with a few features on the map. The super sprinters at times bring back the feeling of unfairness to the game. Verrückt is hard enough without these glitchy fast-act creatures chasing you. Now, like I said earlier, this can easily be counteracted by occasionally overpowered Jug, but this is also an issue, as it certainly raises an issue of inconsistency, which can be frustrating. I also hate the narrowness of portions of the map, namely the stairs. Most downs doing a full map train come on these narrow stairs, which in a way is good as it creates the need for more careful strategies, but it is also rage-inducing if you are downed here. Final thing I'll say for this category is truly the difficulty of the map. This can be a good or a bad thing, as players looking for a true challenge find lots of refuge in Verrückt, whereas it can also be seen from the other point of view, where difficulty can add frustration and take away from the fun of the game. Personally on Verrückt, the general difficulty is a toss-up for me. It could go either way, but I can see how its difficult nature could push someone's opinion either way toward the map. As far as story goes, it's pretty black and white, despite the many attempts on YouTube trying to categorize these mannequins as something to do with the story. I I don't believe any of that. I will say, however, we actually do have named characters this time. When spawning in, the player will randomly be assigned to one of 4 Marines: Tank Dempsey, John Banana, Paxton Gunner Ridge, or Smokey. These players all have unique dialogue and voices, yet are harmonious in their goal to extract OSS spy Peter McCain from the Wittenau Sanatorium facility. As the story goes, Peter escapes, leaving only behind his arm. This arm actually is the arm on the power switch, which is a new fact for me. As for our playable characters, the only one who manages to escape alive is Paxton. Smokey becomes a zombie and ends up killing John Banana.
The mission has all gone south. It's Johnny here. Smokey is near, most likely with meat in his mouth. Been here for ages. I ran out of pages, but now have a mic to record. The mission has failed. McCain must have bailed, and now we must fight off a horde. We came to Verrückt with low ammo and luck, and now Smokey's lost his head.
Meanwhile, Tank Dempsey, well, we'll find out what happens to him next week. Similar to Knocked, Verrückt has plenty of other appearances throughout the COD franchise. Its first appearance is in the Ring of Steel mission in the World at War campaign, as well as being the central location on the multiplayer map Asylum. A piece of Verrückt is seen again in the map Revelations from Black Ops 3, and the building is encountered another time in Black Ops 4's Blackout mode, a play on Warzone and Fortnite. Bet you thought I'd forget about that one, didn't ya? BO1 and BO3 made direct remakes of Verrückt similar to Knocked. The BO1 version adds a radio with a hidden message on it and updates the gun variety. BO3 does both of those things as well as adding a really cool feature to the fountain in the middle of the map. If a grenade is thrown into the fountain on the BO3 version of Verrückt, it will start to pour blood from the top and fill the water section. I'm so happy this was implemented, as it gave more significance to a piece of the map that didn't have any special features on prior installments, yet was iconic. The Black Ops 3 version also features another max ammo Easter egg similar to Knock's. In order to activate this Easter egg, the player must go to these 3 toilets. They must flush the right one 9 times, the middle one 3 times, and the left one 5 times, in that order. This will spawn the Samantha doll not too far away. Interact with the doll to, again, begin chasing her all over the map and shooting her 5 times when you see her. Once you have shot her 5 times, return to where you first found the doll and interact with it to get a max ammo. While these versions of the map are cool, nothing hits like original Verrückt, as its vibe and fear factor are certainly ramped up on World at War compared to the other versions. That being said, it's time we add Verrückt to the tier list. Alright, no script in front of me, just gonna talk some Verrückt here as far as opinions go. And I know where I'm putting it, I am putting it right here. It's going to probably end up bottom of B, but B nonetheless. And that's so funny because I really used to not like this map due to the difficulty, but like I said, after a certain amount of time I stopped caring about that and started putting a lot more care into the atmosphere of this map. And I know it's so much atmosphere talk these past couple videos. We'll get off that soon, but Knocked and Verrückt truly do have 2 of the best atmospheres in zombies, and Verrückt takes it way over Knocked. It's just so interesting. And when you do good on Verrückt, you just feel so good about yourself because you know it's difficult. And with the exception of the super sprinters, it's not difficult in an unfair way. I mean, Verrückt did so much for the zombies community. There's so much for the franchise, so much going forward. I mean, people don't like to talk about that. They don't like to talk about the fact that it introduced perks or the power switch or traps or Easter eggs. So if everyone wants to go to Shinonuma and Reese when they talk about like the innovations and oh, look at what this did. This added pack-a-punch, this added this. Obviously, we'll get to all that stuff later, but Verrückt, I think, is an underrated map. I think it's a B-tier experience. I think it's really cool how creepy it is, the aesthetics, the vibes. They really didn't have to go that hard with the sound effects all hidden all over the map. B tier. Thank you guys for watching my most recent installment of Rewind and Reflect. I really appreciate you guys coming to the end of this video. This one has taken me, like the last one, a long amount of time to put together, so make sure to subscribe and like, and I will be back with Shinonuma before you know it. But until then, till next time.